By the time the HOA security card stopped spinning, the security decal was shredded, the bumper was folded in like origami, and the nose of the cart was firmly embedded in the side of an actual police cruiser. The cruiser's lights kicked on reflexively, red and blue flashing across identical beige townhomes and perfectly trimmed lawns. The HOA security officer, red-faced, middle-aged, and stuffed into a polo to sizes too small, stumbled out clutching his wrist. I stood on the sidewalk, holding my now-detached plastic slow-down sharp curve sign like a decapitated head. "And that," I said evenly, "is why I put the sign there." The police officer climbed out of the cruiser, surveying the crumpled cart, the skid marks, and the sharp bend in the road before turning to me. "Sir," he asked, "why exactly is your warning sign sitting in the grass over there?" I tilted my head toward a small cluster of HOA board members frozen on the curb. At the front was Miranda, clean queen of the cul-de-sac and self-appointed godempress of the Sycamore Crest Homeowners Association. "You'll want to ask them," I replied. "They just removed it. Said it violated the aesthetic harmony guidelines." Miranda swallowed hard. "I moved to Sycamore Crest because the listing promised a quiet, safe, low-traffic community. I'm a software developer and a proud advocate of minding my own business. My idea of a wild night is 2 beers and a documentary about frogs. Unfortunately, I made one fatal mistake. I bought the corner lot. The curve by my driveway was blind, and residents treated it like a qualifying lap in Fast and Furious, Bay Suburbia. In 6 months, I'd seen 2 near collisions, one almost dog fatality, and a teenager who jumped the curb and obliterated a solar light. So, in a burst of rebellion, I bought a simple reflective yellow sign from the hardware store. Slow sharp curve, no profanity, no skulls, just a little icon of a car and an arrow. Enter Miranda, clean, mid-50s, hair professionally highlighted to the molecular level, wardrobe consisting entirely of pastel cardigans. Miranda was president of the HOA, chair of neighborhood beautification, and self-titled community steward. She held 3 convictions as sacred truth: all mailboxes should be identical. Uncut grass was a moral failing. My warning sign was visual pollution. To her, the curve wasn't dangerous, it was architecturally dynamic. So, when she spotted my modest sign during her morning patrol, iced coffee in one hand, clipboard in the other, her soul temporarily left her body in pure outrage. Within 24 hours, I received a notice. Unauthorized signage. Immediate removal required. You are in violation of Section 8.3b of the Sycamore Crest Visual Harmony Covenant. I sighed, looked out the window at the curve, and watched an SUV take it to Fast and Fishtail. I did not remove the sign. That letter was just the appetizer. Miranda escalated like she was trying to unlock a new level of micromanagement. Second letter, now with a $50 administrative fee. Third, threatened possible legal action and lien placement. Fourth, accused me of creating unnecessary fear and discouraging potential buyers. Whenever I stepped outside, I'd see Miranda parked at the curb in her pearl white Lexus, snapping photos of my house like it was a crime scene. She even sent mass emails to the neighborhood warning about illegal signage that undermines the unified brand identity of Sycamore Crest, a brand identity for a cul-de-sac. Then came the petty nonsense violations for everything from my recycling bin being visible for 31 minutes after pickup, to my non-uniform lawn edging pattern, to a trip hazard garden hose. At the next HOA meeting, which I attended against my better judgment, Miranda used me as a prop in her PowerPoint of shame. "We simply cannot allow rogue signage," she declared, voice sharp enough to slice a cucumber sandwich. "If everyone just put up whatever they wanted, imagine the chaos. Warning signs, political signs, garage sale signs. It literally just says slow down," I said calmly. "The curve's blind. Someone's going to get hurt." Miranda smiled the way people smile right before posting a 2,000-word Facebook rant. "Our professional consultant assures us the streets are perfectly safe. Your sign is fear-mongering and off-brand. Who's your consultant?" I asked. She gestured vaguely. the developer. From 15 years ago, a believer in eternal data, the line was crossed on a Tuesday. I came home from the grocery store and stopped dead in my driveway. The sign was gone. In its place was a fresh notice taped to my door, an authorized item removed by HOA personnel. Any attempt to reinstall will result in fines, legal action, and possible law enforcement involvement. That was bad enough. Then I checked my security camera. There was Miranda, marching across my lawn like she owned it, with Dale, the HOA's part-time security officer, following behind in the HOA golf cart. The footage showed Dale yanking the sign from the ground while Miranda held it aloft like a war trophy before tossing it into the cart. Then she pointed at my camera and said, "He can't record HOA operations. That's illegal." It wasn't. By that evening, I'd emailed the HOA demanding my sign back and politely reminding them that removing property from my yard might be their legal problem. Miranda replied with a 1,200-word email about collective visual standards, CCing the entire board and a made-up address for legal at sycamorecrest.org, which immediately bounced back. So I decided to take things one step further. I filed a formal complaint with the city detailing the blind curve, the near misses, and the HOA's removal of a safety sign. I attached photos. I attached security footage. I used strategic words like liability and foreseeable hazard. The city traffic engineer replied within a day they'd send someone to inspect the curve. 3 days later, a city inspector arrived, followed closely by a marked police cruiser. From her window, Miranda saw the flashing lights and smelled a direct threat to her dominion. What followed could have been an episode of low-budget HOA wars. The city inspector paced the curve, measuring sight lines, snapping photos, and shaking his head. The police officer parked just beyond the bend, setting out temporary orange cones. I was in my driveway, talking with the inspector, when Miranda arrived, tailgating the HOA's white security golf cart in her Lexus. Both vehicles hummed with offended authority. The cart screeched to a stop first. Dale climbed out, clutching a clipboard like a riot shield. Miranda emerged second, oversized sunglasses, pearls, and an air of divine grievance. "Excuse me," she announced. "What exactly is going on here?" "This is a private community, ma'am," said the officer without looking up. "Public road. City jurisdiction." She faltered for a half-second, then regrouped. "We've already handled this," she said, pointing at me like I was a raccoon in her trash can. "That resident installed an unapproved sign. We removed it. There is no danger here." The city inspector held up his notebook. "Actually, ma'am, based on what I'm seeing, this curve doesn't meet current safety standards. Sight lines poor, turn radius encourages speeding. I've also reviewed footage of multiple near collisions. Honestly, that resident's sign might have been the only thing slowing people down." Miranda's smile tightened. "Well, we have our own internal security procedures. We don't need outside interference. Your internal security," I said, "is a guy in a golf cart who almost hit a dog last week." Dale looked down at his shoes. The officer turned to Miranda. "Also, ma'am, I saw the footage of you removing property from his yard and telling him he couldn't record you. Just so we're clear, he can record on his own property. And you can't trespass or confiscate his belongings." The power shift was subtle, but seismic. For the first time, Miranda realized she wasn't running to show she was the problem in the report. Miranda hated losing control, so naturally, she overcompensated. "I will not be lectured on safety," she snapped. "Dale, show them how carefully we patrol this curve." She gestured dramatically at the golf cart. Dale, sweating, climbed in. It was supposed to be a harmless demonstration, a little lap to prove the street was safe. He started the cart, turned the wheel, and rolled forward. What happened next was a master class in irony. Dale overcorrected as he approached the bend. Trying to look confident, he kept glancing back at Miranda. The road sloped just enough, and the tires hit a patch of loose gravel from an unfinished landscaping project. The golf cart jerked, skidded, and then, because the universe appreciates comedy swung wide and crashed straight into the parked police cruiser. The crunch echoed across 3 lawns and silenced a jogger mid-step. The officer stared for 3 long seconds, processing the fact that the HOA's safety demonstration had just rear-ended his cruiser at a heroic 11 miles per hour. Miranda gasped, clutching her chest. "Oh my God, Dale. Why did you do that?" Dale blinked. "You told me to." "Don't say that out loud," she hissed. The officer walked over, checked the cruiser, then looked at Miranda. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "your security officer thus hit a police vehicle during a safety demonstration on a curve your HOA insisted was perfectly safe after removing a resident's warning sign." He turned to me. "Mr. Barkley, do you still have that sign?" I lifted it. "Right here." "Incredible," he said. "Let's put it back where it belongs, and we'll be mentioning all of this in our report." By then, half the neighborhood had gathered. Phones were out. TikToks were being born in real time. Someone across the street whispered, "Oh my God, Miranda's going to stroke out," while recording in cinematic 4K. The fallout was swift and glorious. The city's report recommended a permanent warning sign, new road striping, and a lower speed limit for Sycamore Crest. The police report noted HOA interference with safety measures, trespassing, and a minor collision involving HOA security and a police vehicle during a demonstration. The HOA's insurance company got involved and they were not amused. Within a month, premiums skyrocketed. The board received a scathing letter about preventable risk exposure, and a mandatory training on hostility and resident rights was scheduled. At the next HOA meeting, the turnout was the biggest in Sycamore Crest history. Residents who'd never cared about anything beyond trash day suddenly had pitchfork energy. "Why are we paying higher dues?" one neighbor demanded. "Because you bullied the guy who tried to make the street safer." Another added, "I got a violation for a colorful doormat, but you crashed a golf cart into a cop car." The board voted. Miranda was removed as HOA president, not just removed, banned from holding any leadership role for 10 years to a pattern of reckless decision-making. Her pastel empire had fallen. Miranda stood there, face red, clutching her cardigan like it could shield her from consequence. 10 years, she whispered, voice cracking. 10 years, the new chair nodded, effective immediately.